What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior Podcast. I'm your host, Crissy Pyfer, and I am so excited to have my guest on today because this is going to be such a spicy and fun episode. And I also think a very educational episode for all of us ladies out there. So let me introduce to you Susan Bratton. Intimacy expert to millions. She is a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. Susan is co-founder and CEO of two companies, Personal Life Media, a publisher of the Better Lover brand of heart-connected lovemaking techniques and bedroom communication skills, and regenerative therapies, as well as The 20, a manufacturer of organic and botanical supplements that enhance vitality. She is a best-selling author and publisher of 44 books and programs, including Relationship Magic, Revive Her Drive, Ravish Him, The Passion Patch, Hormone Balancing, and Hot to Trot. Susan speaks eloquently from the stage and frequently appears on ABC, CBS, and NBC, as well as being the #1 downloaded episode guest on many podcasts. Welcome to the Suburban Warrior, Susan.
I love it, Crissy. It's so nice to be here with you. Thank you. I like to call you Crissy Fire because that I'm sure everybody does because that's kind of how your name looks and it's so cute.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
You know what I was thinking when you were reading my bio? One of the programs that I wrote is called Revive Her Drive. And it's for men who are in relationships where they want more sex than they're getting from their wives. And I am a sneaky little devil because guys write to me and they're like, "Oh, Suze, I bought this to fix my wife and it turns out that wasn't the problem, you know?" And I named it because guys think their wife is broken because she's not horny and wanting sex all the time like he is. And he doesn't understand why. You know, why doesn't she want, every time we have sex, she's like, glad we did.
Right.
Why isn't she asking me for sex? Why isn't she scheduling sex? How come she doesn't want it all the time?
Why isn't she making the first move?
Right, making the first move.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so funny. So I think, that's in a way, before we got on the show today, we were talking about how so many women, especially in midlife, it really comes to a head. And I honestly think that a big part of that is because we've gotten old enough that we've had so many years of shitty sex. We don't even want to do it anymore, and we're just tired of living with Mr. Grumpy, who no matter what we do, he never gets happy about it. He's happy for like 10 minutes after he gets laid and then he's grumpy again.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. It's like the task of Sisyphus. You roll the ball up the hill and it rolls right back down. And you're like, why should I even bother rolling the ball up the hill? Because I can't make this man happy.
Yeah.
And I think so many women are like, I have low libido. And I'm like, girl, you don't. I really don't. I think all this, like, I was actually looking at two products right now. Today I was asking Gemini, what's the difference between Vyleesi and Addy? Which are for female hypoactive desire disorder.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so you have to tell me I've got hypoactive desire disorder because I don't wake up like a horn dog, know. And I mean, I know there are women. I'm in some ways I'm being facetious because there are those products absolutely help women feel more want, right? And I actually want to get prescriptions for both of them and try them and see what they're like. And I was looking at the difference between the two of them. And Vyleesi is an injection that you give yourself to basically kind of like turn you on.
Yeah.
And Addy is a pill you take every night.
Yeah.
And they work on different pathways, which is interesting too. And I thought about talking to you about this because you were a nurse, right?
Yeah,
so you're like really familiar with the allopathic medical system, and you wanted to go beyond it, right?
Yes.
And the Vyleesi, which is the melanotan pathway, is a peptide. It's actually a peptide called PT141 that the Australians found out about. Kind of a similar story to Viagra because Viagra, was originally being worked on as a heart disease medicine, and it was giving guys a bunch of boners. And they're like, oh, well, okay, guys want boners, so let's
it brought blood flows somewhere else.
Exactly. Oh, the blood flow works all over the place.
Yeah.
And The melanotan pathway also, yeah, the Australians were looking for something that would help with sunburn because, they're in the sunburn country. The sun is strong there. I just got back from Australia and the sun is strong there. And the melanotan pathway is in the melanin system. It's a melanin, but it was giving people erections. And of course, it gives men erections, but women have as much erectile tissue as men do, but nobody's thinking about our lady boners,
Yeah.
And so we're pretty much penetrated before we're ready. Not most women have never even really achieved complete and full arousal more than once or twice in their life. And that was often due to things like new relationship energy, the variety and novelty of a new lover or whatever. And so I think to wrap up kind of all of those different little components of what I just said, I'm not negating that there are women who have female desire disorders, hypoactive desire disorder. I'm not negating that. And I'm very interested in these compounds. But I think there's a lot of things you can do before you have to stick yourself with a needle or take a pill and I know you think about things that way too.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
very aligned, in that
Yes.
way. You and I
Yes.
both are very functional.
Yes.
What can we do at the root? What's the root? What's the real cause
Right.
here? What's
Right.
going on
Right.
and how can we fix it? And so
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about, like maybe kind of like almost like the biggest things that women need to know that are like, let me give you a reset, mama. Let me
Yeah.
tell you some things.
Yeah.
There's not a darn thing wrong with you, most likely, and here's what will actually really help a lot. And I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
that's a
And
good place
that's
to get started.
absolutely, absolutely. Because I think, women in midlife, first of all, to your point, sex in general, we have sex, we have kids, our bodies are changing, but then you get to midlife and it's a completely different scenario because our bodies are changing. We're so tired all the time.
Well, that's
Um,
how much of it is mitochondrial dysfunction,
right. Exactly.
right?
Exactly. It's
How
like
much of it is disrupted sleep?
disrupted sleep, disrupted hormones, mitochondrial dysfunction, like,
Exactly.
just we're metabolically not as healthy as we were before, in addition to everything else, and you feel like complete shit. Let's have sex so that you can orgasm. And then most women, even if they are getting there, they are working so hard to orgasm. It's like wah wah when they do orgasm because of hormone deficiencies, and it's not the
Vaginal
same.
atrophy,
Vaginal
clitoral
atrophy,
atrophy,
it's not
labial
intense.
atrophy.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
it hurts because it's
Mhm.
dry, and then so who wants to do it again? And so it's
Yeah.
really, really difficult. But it
Yeah.
is. This is why it's something that we need to talk about because listen, we're talking about women in their 40s and 50s. We have a lot of life left to live and a lot of pleasure to be had
Yeah.
that we're just
Yes.
kind of leaving on the table if we're not going to talk about it. So
How's your
that's why
sex
I'm
life?
thrilled to have you on. Um, m- I think mine's decent. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's like absolutely amazing because
Mhm.
I am tired. But
Mhm.
I mean, that's really the thing. But I have a loving husband. We have a wonderful relationship. He's patient. Um, and he puts in the effort, which is, a big part of it because sometimes that's what you need. You need a patient partner who's going to put in the effort. And I have also healed myself over the last 10 years and have done the work on my end in order to be able to, have healthier vaginal tissue, to be on bioidentical hormones, to mentally be in the game, to have more foreplay so that when we're there, I'm ready. Like, so, all in all, I'd say it's decent.
Good.
I
That's
mean, do I
fantastic.
think it could always be better?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it can always be
Absolutely.
better.
Because I also think sex is one of those things, especially for women with our bodies, is I feel like we don't know what we don't know. And I feel pretty educated. Like to your point, I'm a nurse. I'm very in tune with my body. I'm willing to explore. I'm an open book. But like, I still think that like there's such a mystery out there when it comes to sex and orgasm for women. It's just not as straightforward as
Yeah.
it is for
It
men.
yeah, it's not. If we don't even know how great sex can be, it's another way. It's basically lack of sexual literacy is a control mechanism over women. It's
Yeah.
keeping us playing very, very small. There's a phrase that a lot of people use called sexual sovereignty. Like I own my own body. I'm in control of my sexuality. And I like that word, but there's a new word that I like even better, and it's being agentic, having agency over yourself. Instead of being sovereign, which I feel like is like I'm like the queen or I'm separate or what have you, agency is how I like to think about it. And when you move into, it's kind of like erotic liberation. When you move out of being in the paradigm in which we grew up and the expectations of a male oriented, religiously repressed society with no sexual literacy, who still doesn't even do any medical studying on women's pleasure. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, we just found out that, how people quote that the female clitoris has 8,000 nerve endings? That's from a porcine study. That's from pigs. That's a pig clitoris.
Oh my
And
God. Not
recently,
surprising at all, though.
not surprising at all.
No.
Recently, what was found out by the surgeons who do nerve sparing surgery to clitoral structures and penile structures for remodeling and things like that, they actually identified all the nerves and said, oh no, there's more like 10,000 nerve endings in the clitoral structure. And most women don't even know that the tip of the clitoris, which is the part they think of as the clitoris, is merely the glans or tip of the clitoral structure, which is a head, a shaft, just like a penis. It's the little penis with much more nerve endings per cubic, whatever measurement you want
Right,
to call
right,
it.
right.
And it has arms, which are called crura. It has legs, which are called vestibular bulbs. It has a body. It's like a little person in there with a neck and a head and two arms and two legs and a body. And we very seldom see those representations. We see a few of them on Instagram now and again in a kind of a cartoonish way.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what the inside of our vagina looks like. I'll tell you, the best imagery I've ever gotten for visualization of the vaginal cavern, and I don't like to call it a canal because I think the canal means it's like the birth canal, and then women think that it's like an inside out tube, like a chute, like a canal, and it's not at
Right.
all. Most often what I do is I get out a big balloon and I blow the balloon up with a little neck, and I say this is more like what your vagina looks like. It's like a little neck that has a balloon at the end, and that little neck has that little round, the end of the balloon is like a little round kind of thing, and that's your vaginal sphincter, your introital sphincter. And that's often what hurts the most in women is the sphincter area because it gets the most fragile as we age. And we don't love just friction. We also want, and it's not just the vaginal mucosal lining that wants pleasure. It's actually the tissue on the other side of the mucosal lining inside our pelvic bowl. Nobody's talking about the importance of blood flow to the female pelvic bowl so that we can get the blood to flow into the erectile tissue chambers. And the clitoris is one of the 3 erectile tissue chambers in the urogenital system of the female, which I like to call a yoni, Y-O-N-I. Have you heard that word?
I have not.
All right,
No.
now you've got agentic and you've got
Okay.
yoni.
I know. I love it. What
Yeah,
is yoni?
I like the
Yoni
more
is
words
all
we have
three?
for things.
Yes.
Yoni is actually, how vagina is just the inside, part
Yes.
of the inside, and vulva is the outer face of the genital structures.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually include the clitoral body, the urethral sponge, which people also call a G spot, named after a
Yes.
dude named Grafenberg. The G
Okay.
spot's not a spot, it's a long tube of spongy tissue that goes kind of
Okay.
from, it's really covering your urethral canal. It's
Okay.
spongy tissue around the urethral canal. So it goes from the bladder out below the clitoris and above the opening to the vagina is where your urine exits your body. That's the urethral
Yes.
exit. That's where your pee-pee comes out.
Yeah.
There's spongy tissue around there that goes all the way up and inside. It starts kind of down and close to the roof, the ceiling of the vaginal cavern, and then it kind of goes
Okay.
up toward the bladder. So when you're locating your G spot, you're going in with a finger or two, and you're feeling the roof of your vagina, and kind of you can curve around, and you can actually touch the clitoral body when you kind of curve forward toward your belly, toward the front of your body.
Yeah.
And then there's another sponge on the bottom of the vagina between the vaginal cavern and the rectum. And that sponge is called the perineal sponge. What's so interesting is that when you look at the sponges in the penis, there are three sponges: a corpus spongiosum, which is basically the same thing as the G spot, and two corpus cavernosum. And we have three spongy tissues. Our male partners have three spongy tissues. Theirs are a straight shot down their penis, and they fill with blood very rapidly because they need to fill up and lock off. And when our three spongy tissue chambers fill up, they're very slow. I've often described it as like making an English muffin. You know how when you get an English muffin out of the refrigerator and you slice it and you stick it in the toaster and you press it down and it pops up? It's not
Yeah.
done. It's
Right.
always a double press, even if you
Yeah.
got it
Yeah.
set all the way on high. Muffins
Right.
take some time. Well, you're fine because you know that muffin's going to taste so good. And then the butter's in the fridge. So you get it out, you slice a piece off and you stick it in there. What do? You stick it between the two muffin sides and you wait till that butter melts into all those nooks and crannies. So the muffin is worth the wait, right?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line here is sexually for women, the muffin is worth the wait because we've got slow, what are called hemodynamics. That's a word you know
Yeah.
as a nurse.
Yes. Yes.
Men
Of
have
course.
fast hemodynamics because they
Right.
need the blood to rush in and lock off to hold an erection.
Yes.
Women
So
have slow blood flow.
yeah. So because of that, then what are some things that women could be thinking about
Yeah.
or doing to help to, because listen, I think with everything that you just described, I think most women don't know 80% of that, right?
Yeah,
And
right. No,
like
we
all,
don't. We weren't taught.
we
That's my
don't, like
job.
you said, exactly,
I'm just here
exactly.
doing my job.
Exactly. We know about 20%, so knowing that you have all of these different places where we can feel pleasure,
Hmm.
what are some things we can do to
Yeah.
help
Okay. Let's go through the list.
to help orgasm, to help, just feel pleasure? What does it look like?
First thing would be um, hormone replacement because it keeps the tissue from atrophying. When the tissue atrophies, it shrinks and it won't hold the same amount of blood anymore.
Yeah. And just
And
so I can describe to listeners, when you're talking about tissue atrophy, basically what that means is because of shifts in hormones, you have decreased blood flow to certain areas of your body, or a lot of areas. But specifically, we're talking about vaginal tissue, the tissue,
labial,
the labia, inside,
clitoris.
internally, and externally. So
Yeah.
when you have decreased blood flow, you basically have what's known as atrophy, which is, sort
Shrinkage.
of like a shrinkage or really death of tissue, which is such a terrible way to think about what's happening to your vagina in midlife. But that's why
Yeah.
vaginal estrogen and systemic, meaning the patch or the pill, whatever form you're taking it in, can start to revive those
Yeah.
tissues again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Patch and pill are okay. They're systemic. What I like to do is combine patch or pill, and I actually combine patch and pill. I'd rather have a little patch and a little pill than one big or the other. I like to get my estrogen in a number of ways because it is so neuroprotective, cardiac protective, everything.
Yes.
But I like a topical vaginal application as well, and not just inside the vagina. You want to coat your labia and your external clitoral structure as well.
Yeah.
You want to get estrogen all through there, and it's not necessarily just loss of blood flow. It's the atrophy also comes not only from loss of blood flow itself, but the estrogen holds collagen in the tissue.
Yeah.
And when you have estrogen loss, then basically your labia start to look more like your husband's balls.
Yeah.
And so and your clit shrinks. You've got disappearing clitoris.
Yeah.
And
Not good.
all of that's exacerbated by your GLPs as well. So if you're in rapid weight loss, you're also losing tissue, and that also affects you. So I like not only topical estrogen, and the one that I like that's over the counter that you can use, that I love the formulation, it's Dr. Michelle Sands. You could have her on your show. She'd be really good. I love her.
Awesome.
She's a
Okay.
big bodybuilder too. She's amazing. She's a naturopath, and she has a product that's called Glow Below. It's at getglowbelow.com. And whenever I mention stuff, I always say the URLs so people can find them, because it's
Yeah,
frustrating if you heard about
absolutely.
something you want to try. That is a really nice vaginal serum. You could rub that on the back of your hands. You could rub it on your face. I mean, you can use it topically on any tissue. I was recently reading about someone who'd solved their plantar fasciitis pain by rubbing
Wow.
estrogen on the soles of their feet. So estrogen has a much bigger effect on our entire body than we imagine. I take a little bit of my estrogen and I put it on a Q-tip and I put it in my ears, because my ears get itchy from loss of estrogen.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's another like really
It's
good
totally,
example.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Itchy ears. Yeah.
So I would take a nitric oxide if I'm middle aged, and I'm beyond middle aged. I'm 64 now, heading into 65, and I'm really having the best sex of my life. I have a delicious yoni that's beautiful. I call it the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and my pubic hair is gray, and I don't give a rip. Like, I am
Love it.
fine with that.
Yeah.
I am in my elder sexy
Yeah.
era, and I am really embracing and enjoying it. And I don't have any issues with anything. I love my body more than I've ever loved it. I
It's
don't mind
amazing.
if my boobs are saggy. I don't
Yeah.
care if I have wrinkly skin. I feel powerful, intelligent, wise, and beautiful more than I ever have. So you really have, in your 40s, in your 50s, you begin to individuate, you begin to get agentic, you begin to take care of yourself, you begin to fight for your sexuality. And what's interesting is that I'm going to answer like what you should do, but why do you want to do it? Because it extends your longevity. It
Yes.
gives you a longer, healthier, happier life when you fight to keep your sexuality getting better and better over time. It's the fourth factor of longevity: sleep, nutrition, movement, and intimacy. And
Yes. Okay.
intimacy, I really want to put a point on orgasmic intimacy. And I want to address that women are struggling to orgasm and give you some good
Yes.
takeaways for how to keep coming better and better over time. So let me
Yes.
finish on that stack. Should I just finish that
Yes.
now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Great. Yes. Yeah.
So take a citrulline supplement. Citrulline's made from watermelon, and it's a better pathway for replacing nitric oxide in your system, which is what helps the blood get into your pelvic bowl to engorge the tissue and to bring the blood plasma into the vaginal mucosal lining so you can lubricate. So
Mm,
lubrication comes from blood plasma. You don't have glands in there that you
right.
don't have like things that make semen or anything like that in your body. You actually need blood flow. So blood flow is ground zero. And let me give you another link for that. The product that I recommend is called Flow Nitric Oxide Booster, because it's made
Okay.
with real food. You and I share a very common value that both of us want as much
Yeah.
natural plant-based material rather than synthetic things as we can get.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so Get Flow Free is a link for a free bottle of the nitric oxide booster. So take
Okay.
your
Cool.
nitric oxide booster, number one, get your vaginal topical serum. That's the two things. Then if you're having vaginal atrophy, you've got two good options. One's a I'll do it myself at home if it's not too bad. And the other one is I'm going to go in and get some treatments. And there's treatments
Yeah.
that I recommend and treatments that I don't. And I'll tell you why. And I'll do it pretty quickly. The do it yourself at home. The product that I recommend is called it's called the Vagina Device. It's a vagina device that uses red light therapy, photobiomodulation, to stimulate the mitochondria in the vaginal mucosal lining so that it helps thicken the tissue, so that it has more sponge to it, so that it can hold the blood plasma so that you can feel lubricated. So it does that. Plus, it has warmth and vibration. The warmth helps recollagenate that tissue, and the vibration helps stimulate the tissue and stimulate the pelvic musculature. Because as you age and your pelvic muscular begins to get weaker, you don't have the orgasmic contractions you used to have. So your orgasmic intensity diminishes.
Yeah.
So this keeps it high. I'm coming harder, better, longer than I ever had. I'm juicy. I've got tons. I'm juicier and more lubricated than I was in my 20s and 30s. It's nuts how much
Awesome.
you can get going again,
Yeah.
even if you've lost it. So that it's at vaginadevice.com. It's an excellent product, woman-owned company, really, really good. Use it every other day while you're scrolling your socials for 8 to 10 minutes, and you own it forever. It's just one thing. If you have a lot of labial atrophy, it's really only a vaginal device. And since so much of your clitoral structures are actually in the vulval area, if you're having diminished orgasmic response, if you're having a lot of incontinence that's intractable, you're having urge incontinence or stress incontinence or what have you, your labia is lax and droopy, you can't come very well anymore, then I recommend Gainswave. Gainswave is, you can go to gainswave.com. They have practitioners almost everywhere. They're very well trained for genital rejuvenation using acoustic wave technology. And acoustic wave stimulates new tissue growth. You can also go to your Gainswave doctor and have that shoulder injury, that knee thing, your hip pain, your whatever, because acoustic wave is used for recovery of tissue injury and for recovery of tissue atrophy. So, and take your husband, because if you have diminishment, he has diminishment. And he's not going to do anything to take care of himself. You got to make the appointment and drag him there. Make him drive you. You know what I mean?
2 for 1.
Twofer. You get a twofer. So
Yeah.
Gainswave is very, very good too.
Okay.
And then, so that's like rejuvenating it, fixing it. But there are a couple of lubricants that I really like. Now, I like CBD because we have a lot of endocannabinoids in our endocannabinoid system in our genital structures. And your endocannabinoid system is essentially the pleasure healing pathway. And I have 3 things that I like that work together, and they're at pleasureprotocol.com. And by the way, if you want any of this stuff, just let me know and I'll have it sent to you.
That's awesome.
The
And
first
we're
thing
going to
is a
link it all
melt.
in the show notes too. So
Good.
everyone
Link it
will
in the
be
show
there.
notes.
Yes, yes.
They're these little vaginal inserts. They call them melts. You pop one in. It's cocoa butter and CBD. You can
Wow.
also get extra relief with a jojoba version. And it coats the vagina because it's hard to get lube up into the vagina if you want to have intercourse. And so what's nice is that you put that melt in there and it stays up in there and it melts and it kind of engorges the tissue. And the CBD is healing and relaxing. And the cocoa butter has oleic acid in it. And oleic acid is what your good vaginal bacteria want to eat. It's a treat for them. And so that's really good because you're feeding it what it needs to replicate so you can keep the bad bacteria out. The red light therapy of the vagina device also generates more glycogen production through the mitochondrial stimulation. And the glycogen is the sugar that your vaginal bacteria like, your positive, not your
Yeah.
your gram negative, I think it is. I don't
Right.
know. I'm just not saying that right. And I love that because you're feeding that good bacteria. So the melts go in if you think you've got a lovemaking date, right? And even if you don't, because they just feel good. If you feel a little
Okay.
dry, I moisturize my vagina
Yeah.
basically with those. And it smells like a box of chocolates because it's cocoa butter. So it
Yeah.
smells nice. Then they have an arousal oil. It's called Awaken Arousal Oil. And you just put a thin coating on the outer yoni, the vulva part. And that again activates the tissue. And what it does is it actually activates your biggest sex organ, which is your
Your brain.
brain.
Yeah.
And the reason your brain is your biggest sex organ is because it processes the stimulation of your sex life. So, whether it's the touch receptors, the nerve endings, the corpuscles, the mechanoreceptors, your brain has this area that's called your somatosensory cortex. And that's how you know you're receiving pleasure because you're touching the tissue and it's sending the signals to your brain, and your brain's going, oh, I like that, do some more of that, or oh no, that's too hard, or that's scratchy, or that hurts,
Yeah.
or whatever. And the arousal awaken oil gets that mind vulva mind yoni connection going. And then the third thing in the protocol is, and I just keep these by my bedside table, right? These are in my
Yeah.
bedside drawer. And so this is what I use for lovemaking. The third thing is just sex oil. It's clean. It's MCT oil, which is basically ketogenic brain food,
Yeah.
right? It's
Right.
MCT oil and a little CBD. And you put that on for all the slide and glide that you need during yoni massage, oral pleasuring, love making, pleasuring yourself with toys and tools, which leads me to the next thing, which is to have a few items in your pleasure chest that you can use for solo pleasuring, as well as some items in your pleasure chest you can use for partnered play and integrating vibration, oscillation, air stimulation into your lovemaking with your partner, because fingers, tongues, penises, they don't vibrate.
Yeah.
They don't oscillate. They do different things that feel good, but they don't have those capabilities. And I am a 21st century woman, and I want all the things that give me pleasure. Why would you buy a red light therapy device for your vagina to rejuvenate it and not buy an air stimulator or an oscillator or a vibrator? And I have a website that I maintain all the time. As a matter of fact, my team just updated it this week again, because toys evolve and change. And I don't think they're
Yeah.
toys, I think they're tools. And I have my highest recommendations for all of the different categories of the types of tools that stimulate your yoni in different ways using different technology. So you can essentially do what I call orgasmic cross training.
No, I
So
love
you're
it.
stimulating your yoni internally and externally with different types of stimulation, including all the things your partner does with you, including
Right.
all the things you do for yourself. You're adding these experiences. It does not erode your ability to have partnered pleasure. It
Yeah.
increases your
Totally.
responsiveness by bringing blood flow deeper into that tissue so that you get your full lady boner, your yoner, your yoni boner. You get your full yoner. And then when it's got all that surface area because it's swollen from all the blood flow, it's sending way more signals to your biggest sex organ, your brain. So you're getting your pleasure back. It's easier to have orgasms. You start to have orgasms from different types of stimulation. Your
Yeah.
body becomes more responsive, and you get to be quite a good little comer in your elder era, your elder sexy area.
I love it. I mean, okay, so what is the website that you maintain?
Oh yeah, drivedesire.com. Thank you.
Okay.
I forgot to
Okay.
say the site.
No,
Yeah,
that's okay. But
drivedesire.com.
okay, because it is like, I mean, this day and age, there's so many options out
Yeah, there's
there.
too many, and most of it's junk.
Right.
And I mean,
Right.
if you honestly, if you, oh God, Chrissy, if you could see my office, it's
I can only
literally
imagine.
boxes and boxes of toys and tools that I'm constantly testing. And 99% don't make the cut for me. They don't have a range of motors that work well. Their form factors are poor. They're noisy. They're hard to operate. The buttons are confusing. I mean, but I love sex tech. I am a champion of sex tech because it has made me wildly orgasmic, whether I'm in partner stimulation or toy or tool stimulation. It's all good. Take your pleasure everywhere you can get it. It helps you look younger, feel better, live longer, sleep more deeply, and
Yeah.
love yourself more.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, for women that maybe, haven't experimented with sex
Yeah,
tech,
yeah.
do you recommend that maybe they should experiment on their own so they can really get into it and figure out what works for them before partnering? Do you recommend partnering? Or is it just individual, whatever you're most comfortable with? What do you think
Well,
usually works
let's see.
best?
I think that most women are very embarrassed about solo pleasuring and they don't get a lot of privacy. So I think if you have the courage to ask your partner to give you some space, or you make a signal like, this is a time when I'm going to be, solo pleasuring to keep my genital structures feeling good and to expand my orgasmic capacity. And this is what I'd like to do, but I don't want you around. Like if I hang the scarf on the door, don't come in, like that kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
think you can do that. I think you can prioritize masturbation when there's nobody in the house and they leave you the hell alone. So that's
Yeah.
nice. You get a
Yeah.
little privacy for a minute, go play with yourself. Because the more you play with your tissue, the better it'll be when you're with your partner. It just starts working better the more you play with it. Then for lovemaking, I think if you're worried that your partner's going to feel, like, oh, are you going to replace me or whatever, like, dummy, no.
Yeah.
Like there's so many things I need you for. Like, for example, verbal adoration,
Yeah.
full body massage, oral pleasuring, breast pleasuring. Like, no, I want all these things, babes. And I want to use these toys too.
Right.
So for the couples who, maybe you feel a little embarrassed about using a vibrator during penetration, but that's when you could really use it to kind of get yourself over the edge. There's a product I really like. It's called the Luxus, Luxus. Again, that's at drivedesire.com. And it's a little clitoral vibrator that sits right on the mons and kind of tucks down over the top of the clitoris. So it's not in the way of the vaginal opening. And it either can stick on there with a little silicone pad, it's pretty cool, or you can wear a little silicone harness and it just wraps around behind you and it holds it on there. And it's super easy to use. And then it comes with this little penis ring that has a magnet in the penis ring. Your husband will just pull that to the base of the shaft of his penis. And then as the magnet gets near the vibrator, once it's turned on, as he's going in and out with his intercourse rhythm, it speeds up and slows down the vibration, which actually toggles your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system to increase the intensity of your orgasmic response. And it's hands free, so you can hold your feet up in the air or hang on for dear life or do it doggy style or whatever you want to do.
Right.
And what's really nice about that is that it's completely hands free, but it really gives you great orgasms. So that's a nice one to introduce because it's like a couple's project
Yeah.
that you can do, and you can put it in your panties as well and wear it as a panty vibrator. And then you can have your husband take you out for dinner and he can control the app and he can give you orgasms while you're having your delicious meal together. And then you can go back and make
Wow.
love and you've already had a few orgasms and you're kind of like primed and you want some more, because we women are wildly orgasmic, and often we have had the lack of information we've had about our orgasmic capacity has us striving to achieve a single orgasmic, boop, just like a little sneeze, rather than just lying there coming the whole time you're in pleasure, which is what
Right.
I've worked my way up to in the last couple decades,
Yeah.
is having over 20 kinds of orgasms, massively activating all that tissue and becoming wildly and intensely multi-orgasmic at the drop of a hat. And all that is that I just work the system. And you
Yeah.
have the same system I do. There's nobody out there. We all have the same orgasmic operating system. And so if I can do it, you can do it. Anyone listening can do what I did. It just takes the willingness to try.
Try. So what do you say? Because some women say that they orgasm, but they say that they can't orgasm having sex.
Right.
What do you say to that?
Yes. So there are many kinds of orgasms. Remember, I just mentioned the
Yes.
20
Yep.
kinds. Yeah.
Yep.
So there are a few things. One is that's very, very common, and most women think they just can't. And that's
Right.
completely and totally wrong. You absolutely can. All it takes is to get the right inputs, your operating system, your nervous system, your somatosensory cortex, your safety system, the amygdala, all of these
Yeah.
things. You need to be in the right place, space, and get the right inputs. And you will come from penetration without even touching the external clitoral structure. Because, as we talked about earlier in the show, the entire vagina is actually wrapped in erectile tissue structures. So the clitoris, the urethral sponge, and the perineal sponge, those little arms come down, the vestibular bulbs come down from the clitoris. All that wraps around the vaginal cavern completely. But it takes 20 minutes or so, 30 if it's been a long time, 10 if he's a brand new hot guy that you're totally turned on by, right? It's flexible,
Right.
but
Right.
because we do love our novelty and variety, but we also need our safety and security and our trust, right? So when a woman says I can't, say no, you haven't yet, because you just need to give yourself the time and the right input. So there's three types of orgasm. The first type is locations to touch. So your mouth, your lips, your tongue, your throat, your neck are all orgasmic and can be made to give you orgasms. Your breasts and your nipples are orgasmic, and you can learn to have orgasms by stimulating your breasts and your nipples. Male bodies too, by the way. Your vulvovaginal system, your yoni, has lots of places initially that you can stimulate that are easy paths. And then over time, everything feels good. It all kind of grows and stitches together. So you start out with, okay, I'm going to touch my clitoral structure. Now I'm going to also bring my shaft into the system, and bring that online. Now I'm going to massage my labia and my inner labia, and I'm going to play with them and bring them online. Now I'm going to find that G area, and I'm going to stimulate that and watch it swell, and maybe even enjoy female ejaculation using certain techniques that work really well. I'm going to activate the whole vaginal cavern. There's a tool that I love. Oh my God. This is my current favorite sex toy right now. It's called Pearl 3. It's at drivedesire.com. And it's essentially a long vibrating it goes inside the vagina. It doesn't look like a penis, but it's a long vibrating pleasure tool that is fair. It's stiff. It's not like floppy.
Right.
And it has the whole thing vibrates. Plus it has these three little bumps on it that put specific stimulation into that G area too, with a
Okay.
little bit deeper vibration. And what you can do, and honestly, I think you should try this, Crissy,
Okay.
because it has really activated my whole vaginal cavern. Like I already crossed that orgasm gap. I crossed that gasm chasm. I closed that orgasm gap that my friend Dr. Lori Mintz so beautifully, created the term for,
Yeah.
by having orgasms from intercourse. And one of the things that Pearl 3 wand has been doing for me is it's been giving me these incredible pelvic contractions, and it's activated the entire vaginal cavern so that I am coming way more intensely during partnered penis intercourse pleasure,
Yeah.
because the vaginal mucosal lining, it wants stimulation, but it also, your pelvic bowl and the tissue on the other side of that is what really wants to get activated. When you get in there with that wand and you stroke the back parts, the top parts, the side parts, the bottom parts, and you just get in there and you just kind of work that thing,
Yeah.
it activates everything and it makes intercourse feel even better, and you just start to have even better orgasms. So you could start with, like, I want to stroke my G spot, I want to stroke
Yeah.
the cervical area, I want to stroke the anterior fornix, the deep spot, I want to stroke the sides where my pudendal nerves go. You know when your toes curl when you come? Those
Yes.
nerves go, that's those nerves going down your legs.
Yeah.
So the sides of your vagina are very activating. The bottom of your vagina down by your rectum, that's where that perineal sponge is. It gets all fluffy when you play with that, with the wand in there. So what's nice about getting something like that going is that not only is it going to expand you from only being able to come from direct topical clitoral external stimulation, which is
Yes.
still fantastic. And you can have as
Yeah.
much of that as you want. I'm not taking anything away. I'm only
Yeah.
adding here, right?
Exactly.
But when you activate all that internal tissue and then you're having intercourse, and maybe you're using like the Luxus on top, or you can even use that little wand, the pearl, right on top
Yeah.
on your clitoris if you want to, then wow, now you're really doing that. So that's one kind. It's locations to touch. Those get your all the somatosensory cortex lit up, and it literally lights up with oxygenated blood. And when you oxygenate your brain, you lower your cognitive dysfunction. So those orgasms help you live longer. They release natural killer cells. They help you reset your nervous system. They release hormones. They release neurotransmitters. It is so good to come a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
So locations and then techniques.
Love it.
The expanded orgasm practice is a clitoral stroking technique that helps you go into an orgasmic peak and stay there and come and come and come and come, and then stack another one that's even more intense and another one that's even more intense. Female ejaculation. All women ejaculate. Some do it naturally. Some want to learn. Some aren't interested. But just like men urinate and ejaculate out of the end of their penis, we urinate and ejaculate out of the little urethral exit between the clitoris and the vaginal opening. So we can release our feminine waters, our amrita, our divine nectar, whenever we want. And that kind of orgasm is like very surrendered. It's kind of like a good cry and an orgasm had a baby. It really makes you feel like so released.
Yeah.
So that's a technique, a pleasuring technique. And then there's objects of desire. That's the third category of orgasm. So the orgasms I'm having with that pearl wand, that's beyond category. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, incredible. So when you begin to think about your orgasm as, oh, I can do all these, there's nothing wrong with me. Oh, I can get better and better at all of them. Oh, I could be 65 years old and be having the best
Yeah.
sex of my life. And I'm only 45 right now. I've got plenty of time. If Susan Bratton can do it, I can do it. Right. So once you understand that you just need to start playing with everything, that you need 20 to 30 minutes of warm up, foreplay, I don't even like that term. And I'll tell you
Yeah.
why, because I think it puts the central focus on intercourse, and I love intercourse. Like, I think some of my very best work is teaching orgasmic intercourse techniques to people. But when you're rushing for the goal, like that's the entree,
Yeah.
and you're rushing through the appetizers when it's really all sex, and we need all of these things, and they're all equally pleasurable for both of us.
Yeah.
Our husbands rush to it because they get an erection, they think they need to use it immediately. they need to understand that they can get hard, go soft, get hard again, go soft again, get hard again, go soft again. And if they can't, get them Gainswave treatments,
Yeah.
because that's just atrophy, right?
Yeah.
Almost
Right.
99% of the time, it's literally just out. If they can't maintain an erection or get erect, go hard and get erect again, that's literally just the atrophy of aging they can reverse with the acoustic wave technology. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what you're going for here is
Yeah. It's
you're
awesome.
really taking your time, you're playing with everything, and you're expanding your orgasmic potential as you age and become more comfortable with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And, everything that you explained, I mean, my gosh, so much great information. And I think it just, one of the biggest takeaways as well, in addition to all of these amazing treatments and products and understanding our body and the education that you gave us, but is understanding that, you know, just like anything else, the more you do it, the better
Yeah.
you get
The more you do it, the
at
better you
it.
get. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I do think, unfortunately, especially for women in midlife, and again, that's who I'm talking to,
Yeah.
those are my clients.
Yeah.
Um, it becomes like such a back burner. It becomes like such a non-priority. And we're seeing the effects of it in so many different ways, in relationships, in marriages, in personally how you feel. And, being, I just think it's such an important topic that gets sort of pushed, to a non-priority when it really should be a higher priority for us because of all of the reasons that you already mentioned. And it just feels good. And it's what we're meant to do. So I want to thank you so much for being here today, because I
My
feel like,
pleasure.
oh
I
my
was
gosh.
looking forward to it.
Oh my God.
I just
I
think you
feel
do
like,
such a good job with your show.
oh, well, thank you.
You
Thank
do.
you. I very much appreciate that. And I appreciate you listening and being here and sharing so openly and so authentically, with my listeners. Because again, like I said, even before we started recording, I think this is such an important topic that is so taboo, to talk about. And I know I learned so much, and there's so many great resources, and I'm excited to try some of them out.
Good. What are you going to do? What's your big
So
takeaway?
I definitely want to try some of the melts, the jojoba, the
Yeah.
CBD.
Yeah. The pleasure protocol.
Yes, the pleasure protocol, because I'm already
Hmm.
doing the hormones, the estrogen, and that has helped like immensely. Vaginal, external, internal, systemic, estrogen. I'm also on testosterone a little
Me
bit,
too.
just to help, just to
Love it.
little bit. So, but I think that any more moisture I can provide, and the way that you explained it, it sounds so wonderful. So I'm definitely going to try that. I also think the pearl sounds wonderful, and the
Love
part,
that thing.
I know. I mean, when you sell it like that, how can one not want to try it?
You
So
know what I
I'm
really
in.
like doing with it? Here's what I like doing with it. I like to put it inside me and turn it on. And then I like to give my husband a blowjob
Yeah.
while it's inside me. Because
Okay.
when you're stimulating your mouth and your lips and your tongue and your throat, and you're taking your pleasure by not trying to do anything to him, but just enjoying his penis in your mouth,
Yeah.
just doing whatever feels good to you and turns you on. And then you're getting that lower stimulation in in the vagina, and it radiates into the whole clitoral structures. Then you're starting to connect the top to the bottom, and you're starting to be able to move the energy up and down your
Yeah.
lumen, your light source. And the lumen's actually the outside of the alimentary system is called the lumen. That's the word for it. But it's
Yeah.
also, if you ever thought about like the chakra system and things like that,
Yep.
there's this connected system.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
if he plays with your breasts and nipples and put some of that oil, put some of that sex oil all over your boobs, and have him massage that tissue and squeeze them and swipe across the nipples
Yeah.
while you have him in your mouth, and you have that pearl 3 inside your vaginal cavern. Girl, that's so good. Now I know what I'm doing when we're off
Yeah.
this
Yeah. Yeah.
when we're
You're
off
gonna
this
be like,
podcast.
Hello, massage time.
Hello, honey. Yeah, so that gets all the systems
It's
online
great.
at the same time,
Yeah.
which really helps get everything working better.
Yeah. I love it. See?
I love it too.
Another great suggestion.
I
And
could
I
go
think,
on, but we need
yeah,
to end the
oh,
show.
I'm
I know.
sure. I'm sure. Well, and I think the other key is being free and open to experiment, right?
Yeah.
And find out what works for you and what feels good. So thank you so much for being here today,
Pleasure.
Susan. It was so wonderful to meet you. We will link all of these amazing suggestions in the show notes. Thank you for all the work that you do. It was just so fun talking to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was great to be here. I want to say one thing
Yes.
as a goodbye, and that is that if you go to betterlover.com, that's
Yep.
one of my main websites, and that's
Okay.
where you can sign up for my sex tips newsletter. If you like
Okay.
the things I've been talking about and you want more, if you go to betterlover.com and you have a question for me, any email that you get from me in my newsletter, if you reply to that, it goes to my personal inbox, and you're welcome to send me any question that you have, something I might have mentioned on the show
It's
or something
wonderful.
I didn't address.
Yeah.
Because that's really honestly what makes me good at what I do, is that I've answered tens of thousands of emails over
I am sure.
decades.
Yeah.
And that really makes a big, and almost always when you email me a question, you think you're the only weirdo with the problem, and it turns out I literally have like a video on it, a free video or an article that
Yeah.
explain, like it's you're not weird, you're not broken, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just that we literally in our society as women have had no sexual literacy, nor have our partners. It's not their fault if they're grumpy old men who
Yeah.
are, offering sex and you're not in the mood for it.
Right.
Like they want it. That's what they just don't understand. And so that's what I teach a lot of men, is how to meet a woman where she is and move her toward her pleasure,
Yeah.
because we love to have sex, but we're not walking around ready for it all the time. We need to
Yeah.
be helped to get there. And when a man understands that we're not rejecting him, we just need him to help us. And when he learns how to help us get where we both want to go together, then we really love the support of that man. That's what we
Yeah.
really need from him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan. And thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what you thought of the episode. Drop us a comment. We would love to hear from you. And be sure to check out all this great information in the show notes. And I'll be back next week with another amazing suburban warrior here to share her story and expertise with you. Until then, have a great week, guys. Have fun experimenting.